Good evening and welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Tonight we share breaking news regarding a student athlete being removed from their team.
And we will also take a look at an inspiring message from the volleyball team and take a deep dive into the men's basketball team's struggles.
So get ready, Marquette Nation, because Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam dunk! Oh, that's a poster. Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down.
Hello everyone, I'm Shane Hogan.
And I'm Andrew Muzu.
Tonight we will start with breaking news.
A Marquette student athlete has been removed from their team after a video surfaced on social media Monday night with the individual and another student using a racial slur.
After the name of the student athlete circulated online, that athlete was removed from the men's lacrosse team Tuesday morning.
The university said it will not be sharing the identity of the individual. The Marquette Wire is working to confirm the name of the student athlete involved. We will bring you updates when we have them.
Now turning our attention to the volleyball team. Back in September, Sarah Rose, a senior on the volleyball team, was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a pediatric strain of bone cancer.
Rose has been going through treatment over the last few months, completely sidelining her from any volleyball action.
This weekend, the volleyball team was planning to honor Rose in their matches against Creighton, but due to COVID-19 issues, the matches have been postponed. But as I found out, Rose is excited to be back with her teammates whenever that may be. Sometimes life hands you something you're least expecting.
It's never something you really expect to hear or really want to hear, that you have cancer.
Sarah Rose, a senior on the Marquette volleyball team, was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma, a strain of pediatric cancer, back in September. When Rose heard the news, the emotions came pouring in.
Initially, I was just really heartbroken. I didn't honestly know what to think at the beginning. A lot of things were racing through my mind about volleyball, school, life, everything.
In an effort to support and honor Rose, Marquette Athletics is participating in a campaign titled #GoldForSarah, where all Marquette teams are wearing gold jerseys and shoelaces during their games this week.
You gave us amazing inspiration tonight, and we thank you for it. And
Thank you so much.
we tried to honor your fight with our fight tonight. So thanks for being a role model for all of us.
Marquette was scheduled to play Creighton this weekend, but due to COVID-19 issues within the Blue Jays program, both matches have been postponed. Prior to the COVID-19 postponement, Rose reflected on what support from her opponent would have meant to her.
To me, it feels like they see me more as like a person instead of just a competitor and a player on the other side of the net, and that they're supporting me and not just like playing against Marquette. It's a bigger goal and a bigger picture.
And sometime down the road, when they reschedule, Rose might get a chance to suit up with her teammates once again.
Josh, I will say that she is excited and we are excited. She is going to suit up this weekend and be part of the bench and in uniform, which is thrilling for her. She's super excited to do it. I talked to her about doing it one game and she said, could I do it both? I said, absolutely, not a problem.
In trying times like these, finding inspiration might not be easy, but Rose continues to inspire her teammates and vice versa.
Really inspires me to keep pushing and keep fighting, and they always send such kind words of encouragement and are always checking in on me, see how I'm doing. I couldn't ask for a better support system than my teammates. They really do care about me so much.
Rose has already completed 5 months of chemotherapy, and her long-term prognosis looks encouraging. Shane Hogan, Marquette Wire Sports. To get more insight on the situation, we want to welcome in Executive Sports Editor Zoe Comerford. Zoe, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's dive into this a little bit more. So obviously, it's pretty disappointing that the team couldn't follow through with what they had originally planned for this weekend.
But, the teams that did get to play wore gold in honor of Sarah. Just, tell me a little bit about how that whole idea came about.
Yeah, so Coach Tice yesterday in the Zoom was talking to us a little bit about how he kind of, when Sarah was diagnosed, he reached out to all the other coaches and said, like, hey, this is what's going on with Sarah, and, like, we'd love, like, your support and all of that. And, at the end of the day, Danielle Josetti, who was their team's advisor for athletics, kind of reached out to the other teams as well, saying, like, let's do this gold for Sarah thing. And, after all of that, it really shows that, Marquette is very unified, and even in the athletics program, they're really here to fight her fight, obviously, as she goes through this very difficult disease.
Yeah, it just shows how much of a family they really are. Well, I spoke to Sarah's teammate Hope Wirch yesterday about Sarah's journey. Take a listen.
She just really is an inspiration, and she tells us that we're her inspiration and we're what helps her keep going, just because it's something to look forward to. And like, her and I are the last ones left, like, right now. So it's pretty crazy that her 4 years have been a whirlwind, and this last year has just not been how anybody thought it would be. But she is honestly, like, kicking its butt, and yeah, she's pretty amazing.
So that was, a little bit from a teammate, but we also saw the men's basketball team call Sarah after their win last night. What were the players saying after that?
So I talked to Greg Elliott after the game, and obviously he said they didn't know about that they were going to FaceTime her, but they were really excited that they got to, FaceTime her after the game, and they just said, like, she's not able to play the sport that she loves, but, they are, and so they really want to fight that fight, for her. And obviously you see throughout Marquette Athletics, they're posting on Instagram, they're, posting on Twitter, and really showing that support, not only through men's basketball, but women's basketball, lacrosse, soccer teams, everywhere. Everyone across the board at Marquette is really coming behind Sarah and just showing her a bunch of support. And, even her family. Yeah. She said her brother and sister, had put together this 50-minute long video of all of the people who are important to her, saying words of encouragement for this difficult time.
Yeah, and, everyone's going through something so tough right now. It's really nice to see something so unifying.
Yeah, it is, for sure.
Well, going off of that, we know Creighton was planning to wear some gold shoelaces. That was going to be Marquette's opponent this weekend. What do you think that says about this conference to support one of their own, even though it wasn't on their team?
Exactly, and you said you saw Sarah mention that. I mean, they see her not only as a competitor, but also a human, and I think that's kind of what sports is supposed to do, is bring people together and really unify them, and you see that throughout the Big East. I mean, yesterday, against the Butler game, Butler was wearing gold shoelaces as well, so, you see throughout, it's not just the Marquette family, it's also the Big East family, and I think that that's something amazing about sports, is it brings people together and shows and humanizes people beyond just the jersey.
That's well said, Zoe. Thanks for that. More info.
Thanks for
all
having
the insights.
me.
All right, well, when we come back, we're going to take a look at both the men's and women's soccer teams, so don't go anywhere. Golden Eagle Sports Report will be right back.
Me and my boy Matt had it good. He had catnip that was off the hook. But one day, he brings a girl home, and she's allergic to cats. Every sneeze was a nail in my coffin. Now I'm in a shelter. It's decent, but they don't even have Wi-Fi.
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove. You told me not to do drugs. You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report. Once again, I'm Shane Hogan.
And I'm Andrew Muzu. The men's soccer team is 2 weeks into their season and are already off to a hot start.
For the first time since 2012, the Golden Eagles are 3-0 with every game they've won in overtime. They also kept all their opponents scoreless in those games, the longest streak to start a season in Marquette men's soccer history.
Coming off their first win over St. Louis since 2002, Kristen Parisi caught up with the team to get their insight on this historic beginning to their season.
If you've been watching Marquette men's soccer this season, it's been nothing short of entertaining. The Golden Eagles have won all 3 of their games in overtime, and while some might credit the attack for their ability to close out the games, the players are owing all of their early success to their strong defensive back.
About that, I just wanted to emphasize our defense, just 270 minutes plus, I don't even know, with the overtimes and stuff, with no goals conceded. And so everyone's just working together. And when we go into overtime, we know it's a 50-50 chance. So we just try to play our game.
Coming into the season, Coach Bennett stressed the importance of the defense in practices and wanted that to be one of the biggest keys in the season. And already, Bennett is seeing that he can rely on the defense to fuel the confidence for the rest of the team.
So our guys have got to adjust, and we've got to make sure that a goalkeeper and central defenders and a number 6, when we're at our worst, they have to be at their best. They're a bit like firemen, you know what I mean? No one ever knows about them until your house is on fire, and then you're really happy that they're good.
The key to the Golden Eagles defense has been redshirt sophomore Chandler Hallwood, who is playing in his first year since transferring to Marquette. Hallwood was named Big East Goalkeeper of the Week after posting 3 straight clean sheets in his victories. But even with the recognition, Hallwood deflected the personal credit and owes his success to his surrounding teammates.
Very good, very proud of it, to be honest. 3 clean sheets in a row is very good personally, but it's not all about being personal, really. It's as a team, it's good for the team chemistry and confidence of the team.
With Big East play starting this weekend for the Golden Eagles, Bennett and his squad hope that their strong play early on can carry over when they are put to the test. Kristen Parisi, Marquette Wire Sports.
Switching over to the women's team, they start their season with a record of 2-0.
They kicked off their season with an impressive 5-0 victory over Chicago State. The team put on a clinic with their strong offense, and the Cougars had no answer for it, Shane.
One of the goals came from redshirt first-year Maddie Tabor in the 67th minute of the game, making her first career goal as a Golden Eagle.
And although there were no fans to watch her great feat, I soon realized that Tabor has a lifelong teammate and fan on the squad.
Back on February 5th, redshirt first year Maddie Tabor scored her first career goal as a Marquette Golden Eagle. However, if you scan the field during that moment, you would have thought that she was in 2 places at once. But it was her twin sister Emma who was cheering her on.
Yeah, it honestly felt as if I had scored it myself. Like, that's how excited I was for her because, I mean, it's her first career goal. I mean, that's amazing. And, like, having that for her name is just awesome. And so, yeah, I really was very excited for her.
Growing up in a sports family, the Tabor sisters have played sports together since they could remember.
We started playing soccer at the age of like 6, and we've always been on the same team. And it's definitely helped that we stuck with the same sport because we're both incredibly competitive people. So,
once arriving here on campus, playing together wasn't any different from the years before.
For us to play together, I think I've never known any different. Every soccer team that I've ever been on, she's been there with me. Some good things are you always have someone that knows you really well on the team. And I always feel like when we play with each other, like if I'm the wide mid and she's the wide back, it's very easy for us to combine because we're always just on the same wavelength.
And if it didn't get any more difficult tying the two apart from each other, people were given a new challenge once the season rolled around.
So I've always been number 21 since I've been like 7. So that was kind of my number, and then it was available when I was coming to Marquette. So of course, I would like to carry on the tradition of being number 21. One of our coaches, when they were assigning numbers, thought it would be funny if we were 21 and 12, which doesn't really make it that much easier to tell us apart on the field.
Aggressive, skillful, tactical, and endurance are 4 words that the sisters would describe themselves as. And with their growth over the years, the Tabor sisters have always cherished those special moments on the field.
But I think it's just fun to be able to grow. And so I think that just that constant push to always get better with each other is something that I'll definitely cherish.
The Tabor sisters, a family dynamic duo. I'm Andrew Amuzu, Marquette Wire Sports.
And to get a closer look at both soccer programs, we would like to welcome in beat reporters Sam Marco and John Layuzzi. Guys, welcome back to the show.
Great to be back. Thanks for having us.
All right, starting off with the women's team, they have started the season off with 3 wins and an overall record of 2-0. What can fans expect from this team this season, John?
Well, this is a team that's going to be very motivated, and they're going to be looking to have as much success as possible. But on top of that, it's a fresh, clean slate. New head coach in Frank Pulayas, Golden Eagles looking to just build up on top of what they did last year. It's going to be a fun season, I think.
Fun season and exciting season for sure. And shifting to the men's team, they have had a solid start with their first 3 games being overtime wins for the squad. What has been the key for this team to bring home the W for this team?
Yeah, Andrew. Well, obviously the headlines are going to be the game-winning goals in overtime, but the main key has been the defensive side. I mean, 3 clean sheets in 3 games so far this season. Can't get any better than that. Like we mentioned earlier with Chandler Hallwood, Big East goalkeeper of the week. He's done a great job in his first year at Marquette.
And the team has had a variety of players coming from different countries. What impact does this have for the team chemistry overall?
Yeah, well, Marquette's roster is around 6 countries. I mean, that's represented. Yeah,
wow.
It's just a great dynamic for the team. And, they can speak in their native language or their foreign language with each other on the pitch.
And both programs begin Big East play very soon. The women's team begin on March 4th, and the men's take on Creighton this Saturday. With that, where do you think each team will fall in the standings this season? John?
Well, Marquette was projected to finish in the lower end of the Big East. I say they finish in the middle of the pack. I think this team, Andrew, really is ahead of the track for where a lot of the outsiders are looking at. Yes, they might not have had a lot of time to work together, but I think they're going to do something important on the pitch.
And Sam, quickly?
Yeah, Andrew, Marquette falls in the Midwest Division this year, and they avoid some of the Big East powerhouses, such as the reigning champions, Georgetown. So I think they can get top 2 in their division this year, or even go for first place.
We're going to have to see. Well, it's been a pleasure having you both on the show. And when we come back, we will be talking all about the men's basketball team and their season as it heads into the home stretch. GESR will be right back.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably gonna turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right?
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands?
Yes.
You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now I'm anything but lonely.
We have this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with Turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover they're a little bit of a lot of things,
but they're all pure love.
And we're back in Studio 7 as we take a deep dive into Marquette men's basketball. Joining me on the panel tonight is Matt Yezel, Andrew Muzu, and Nick Galley. Fellas, let's get started. So, guys, there's no question that this team has plenty of flaws. It's always Wojo this, Wojo that. Yeah. Good line, TP. What does this team need to do to get back on track? Obviously, just had a big win earlier tonight, beat Butler, but the only team they've beaten in the last month is Butler, and that is not saying much. Matt, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. Wojo just, it feels like for part of the game, they'll have kind of a script in terms of what they're doing. They'll come out at the start of the game, they'll pound the rock down low with Theo John and Dawson Garcia. Very good duo down low. Mm-hmm. But then as the game progresses, you see their offense and it's not clean enough. They're not the ball movement isn't there. They're not getting clean looks offensively. We've talked a lot, they have some talented players on this team and talented players at the guard position, but they haven't had the production at the guard position in particular that maybe we expected. A lot of people expected a big senior year for Kobe McEwen.
Right.
DJ Carton has shown sparks of his talent, but it hasn't been consistent, and I think part of that is just on the offensive game plan and the inconsistency of that, and I think part of that is on Wojo and on coaching and just not having a clean plan in order to get good open looks for his team.
I also would say that this team kind of has an identity problem. They don't really know what type of team that they are. Are they a team that's going to splash threes? Are they going to be a team that's going to grind it out with their defense? They don't really know that answer. But I do know that there's like a mix of personnel. You have Kobe McEwen, who is having a pretty quiet senior season.
Yeah.
He's been very inconsistent, and when his shot is not falling, it's just really tough to see. And then you have young players like Dawson Garcia, who is one of the team's leading scorers, but even then there are times where he can be very passive. And then you have DJ Carton emerging as a bona fide leader of the team. So they really need to find their identity and where they're going to be at for not only for the rest of the season, but for seasons to come.
The thing I want to know is how accountable is Wojo holding these players? Like, really, how accountable is he holding them? What is he saying to them in the locker room after games where they look terrible?
That's a good question.
I mean, yeah, what is he doing? Is he being hard on these guys? I remember when I was younger, I had a coach. I didn't take a charge once. He grabbed me by the shirt, and he screamed right in my face that you got to take a charge. If you're going to hold the 5'7" Italian kid that accountable, I mean, what are you going to hold these guys accountable to? They're D1 college basketball players.
Right.
I feel like when you come out and you look lackluster for an entire game on offense and defense, as we've seen this team do many times, you have to be harder on this team, and I just don't think he's being too hard on these guys.
So, Nick, even if he is being hard on them, and he's screaming in the locker room and he's getting these guys fired up, it doesn't matter if it doesn't get into them, if they don't take that with a little bit of pride and go back out on the court and make a change. So how does he get into them? I mean, he could be screaming, he could be giving them the silent treatment, all these things that coaches do.
Well, in the words of Coach Wojo, I think it comes down to personal pride. I remember I asked him after one of these games, I forget which terrible loss it was. As I said, we've seen plenty of them. Man. But I asked him, I said, what's going on? Why are we seeing these same problems? Why do you guys only have one half of good basketball so many times, and then another half you'll come out terrible? I mean, really, there's no other way to put it. And he said it's personal pride. So I don't know, these guys look like they're enjoying the program, enjoying the team. But, I mean, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. We don't really know what's going on. I mean, how much heart do these guys really have? They show it, but do they actually have it deep down? I mean, I don't know.
But he is making adjustments, though, because in this game against Butler, Greg Elliott did start over Jamal Cain.
We've seen Jose Perez more, too.
Exactly. So, but I would say that Jamal Cain not starting, I think it was for disciplinary reasons because Jamal Cain immediately checked back in for Greg Elliott. So he is making changes. He's trying. You just have to have the players buy into the system.
He's even said things like, our offense is struggling, so we're just trying anything to get something going, especially off the bench. I mean, since Justin Lewis has been hurt, their bench has been
terrible,
pathetic, really.
So, we just went over all the negatives that surround this team. But, there are some positive things. These younger players, Dawson Garcia, DJ Carton, they're stepping up. Do you guys think that this younger core is giving some fans, some hope for the future? Matt?
Shane, a lot of us and a lot of fans talk about wanting to fire Wojo, but you know who you never hear that from or anything negative about Wojo is his players and his former players and anyone who's worked with Wojo.
But do you think that matters? Do you think they'd really go out publicly and critique?
Maybe not current players, but I think a former player with nothing to lose, active on Twitter. You don't see any of that. So my point in that is, one main thing that Wojo has been very good at is recruiting. And we've seen that this year with, whether it's recruiting for high school players or transfers, we've seen that this year. It's a very talented class coming in. And I think when you look at Dawson Garcia and Justin Lewis, arguably the two most impactful players, at least
TJ Carton as well.
Yeah, TJ, the most impactful newcomers on this team. I think those two in particular, the freshman and Carton, the sophomore, that's something you can build off of. And, we've said that this is kind of a transition year a little bit, but it's still kind of a disappointment looking at the talent you have. But if you're looking forward to next year, we're going to be in this same spot, looking at this team saying there's some talent there and there's some things you can work with.
I'm gonna cross-examine you here with the recruiting thing. How much of recruiting do you think is Wojo, and how much do you think is Coach Killings and Coach Gainey, and the support staff? I'll say
that's a good point.
And Stan Johnson before.
Yes.
Stan Johnson, pretty responsible
coach,
for bringing Marcus Howard here as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But Wojo's part of that, though. You're not signing up to play for an assistant coach. You're signing up to play for the head coach.
That's a good point.
It's all part of it.
So I'll raise you this one. If recruiting's been so good, which it has, you'll give him credit there. He's been losing guys off this team year after year, most notably Sam and Joey Hauser. Ed Morrow, the list goes on in his 7 years. Don't you think that says something too, Andrew?
I do think that there are different reasons as to why these players left. There was some speculation that the Hauser twins, they left because the offense was too much of Marcus Howard. So they thought that they could have their own opportunities. Now, we don't specifically know what happened with Ed Morrow. It could have been an altercation, a simple disagreement. We don't know what happened there, but it just goes to show that there's a lot going on in this program that we don't know about. Obviously, they don't want to go public about a lot of these things, but there's a lot of confusion. People don't know what's going on.
Can I say something about the Hausers?
Please.
I think without a doubt, it's Marcus Howard, the player Marcus Howard. He just had the ball in his hands every single minute of every single game.
Yeah, but the guy's a 30-point scorer.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying, though. Wojo did not prime him for the NBA.
No.
Wojo did not get Marcus Howard ready for the NBA whatsoever. If I'm Wojo and I know Marcus Howard's going to the NBA, which was a pretty fair assumption he was, whether it was going to be undrafted or drafted, he's obviously on the two-way with Denver now. If I'm Wojo, I'm teaching this guy how to pass, how to defend.
Yeah.
Everyone knows he can score.
The former point guard in college himself.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, that's Marcus Howard's in the past.
Yeah.
Let's finish here on the future. They've got good young guys.
Yes.
They've got Dawson Garcia and Justin Lewis to build on. Who do you think, is going to be that next, face of the Marquette program, Matt?
I think it has to be Dawson Garcia. He's a talent. I've said it before. He's a talent that they haven't had before in terms of a big that can shoot. For the last 3 years, we've seen Theo John, a big bruiser type center who's just at the rim. Dawson Garcia gives you both. He gives you the post moves. He gives you the shot from deep. I think he's a player who can average 20-plus a game and maybe be near 10 rebounds and play good defense. So I think he's going to be the face.
I would say it's
real quick here, Andrew. Go ahead.
I would say it's not just one player. I think it's going to be the duo of DJ and Dawson. I feel like that's going to be a great tandem right there for the pick and roll or the pick and pop. DJ is a very skilled scorer and playmaker himself. He's the bona fide leader of this team, in my opinion.
Nick, real quick.
I'm going to go Justin Lewis, East Coast, Beast Coast, Baltimore, Maryland. There we go.
All right.
Always got to take it back home.
Yes,
well, fellas,
you do.
Thanks so much for the great conversation. Make sure next time to tune in on Golden Eagle Sports Report for all your coverage of Marquette sports. That's all for us tonight. Good night, Marquette.